Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Genesis 4, verse 26. And to Seth also there was born a son, and he called his name Enosh. Then men began to call upon the name of the Lord. This verse marks a turning point in Genesis, the transition from Cain's extinguished line to the Sethite lineage, which will carry the covenantal thread toward Noah and Abraham. The Zohar and Midrash treat it as both a new dawn of spiritual potential and a warning about the dual nature of calling upon God's name. The first phrase we have, to Seth, a son, the continuation of the holy seed. Seth represents foundation and stability, the spiritual counterbalance to Cain's instability. His son Enosh means mortal man, emphasizing human frailty. The Zohar says this naming was deliberate to remind humanity that all strength and wisdom must be rooted in God, for man is but dust without him. Seth was the root, Enosh was the branch. One held firm in heaven, the other bent toward earth. This grounding in humility is the antidote to Cain's arrogance. The Midrash teaches that Seth's line was blessed with prophetic insight and that Adam saw in Enosh the seed from which the Messiah would come. Enosh, however, also lived in a time of growing spiritual danger. The next phrase we have, then men began to call upon the name of the Lord. A double meaning. The Zohar reads this as both revival and corruption. Revival because the righteous began public prayer and worship, invoking the divine name openly. Corruption because others began to profane the name by attaching it to idols, using God's holy name in false worship. Thus, this verse contains both the seed of communal holiness and the germ of idolatry. Midrash Rabbah states that in the days of Enosh, men made images and called them by God's name, thinking they were honoring him, but in truth, they opened the door to paganism. This misapplication was subtle. It began as a symbolic act, but soon the symbols replaced the true worship of God. The Kabbalistic symbol behind the verse is the first invocation of the Shem HaMephorash. The phrase, call upon the name of the Lord, alludes to the first public use of the Shem HaMephorash, which is the explicit divine name revealed to Adam and passed to Seth's line. In holiness, uttering this name draws the Shekinah into the world, but when misused, it draws down energy into the realm of the other side, feeding the roots of idolatry. This duality, calling versus profaning, is why this verse is spiritually dangerous. It marks the birth of organized religion in both its holy and corrupted forms. The shift from Canaanite culture to Sethite priesthood. Cain's line ended in violence and blindness. Seth's begins with invocation and awareness of mortality. The Zohar presents Seth's line as the priestly root of humanity, a line tasked with maintaining connection between heaven and earth. Enosh's time tests that role. Holiness must be defended from imitation, lest the sacred be diluted. To summarize, Genesis 4 verse 26 introduces Enosh, son of Seth, and the first public calling upon God's name. Both the Zohar and Midrash see this as a pivotal moment of both spiritual flowering and danger. The lesson from the verse, the Sethite's line, begins with humility and worship, but also faces the first counterfeit of true spirituality. Calling upon God's name is powerful, yet without purity of intent, it can transform from a ladder to heaven into a snare of idolatry. That's it for today. Thank you very much for your donation. Be blessed, everyone, and I will see you on the next episode.